10. All right. So thank you all for coming today to participate in the Lane County Manufacturing Regional Needs Assessment conducted by WBTO. There we go. Quick overview of agenda. We are going to start off with some introductions in a moment. We will cover assessment approach and methodologies, our assessment outcomes, and next steps. Now is a good time to mention that we highly encourage questions from anyone and everyone. So feel free to ask away. Chris will be monitoring the chat for any questions, and then I'll pause throughout the presentation to give you opportunity to voice any questions or concerns that you have. And of course, we have saved time at the end for questions, comments, discussion as well. To start off, I'm going to have Shireen Vogel introduce the Lane ESD CTE.
Thanks, Sarah. My name is Shireen Vogel. I work out of Lane Education Service District, and my role is CTE Regional Coordinator, which essentially means supporting CTE programs across Lane County. We have 113 current approved programs in Lane County, and of those, we have 10 manufacturing programs that will be highlighted today. That's the focus of this work. There are, of the 113 total programs, there are about 160 CTE instructors that we also directly support. There are 16 school districts in Lane County. They span all the way from the coast in Florence to, as everyone knows here, the geography of Lane County is quite expansive. So from Oak Ridge, McKenzie, all the way to the coast and everything in between. We were very lucky. The ESD submitted a CTE revitalization grant last year and received a grant to be able to fund this work. We see there's, obviously a huge demand in the manufacturing sector. We have programs that are, some of them are very new, some of them are more, have more experience, and everyone is seeking up-to-date professional development. All of our manufacturing classrooms and training facilities are not all created equal. And so looking at ways that as an ESD that we can support our school districts in helping with information that could potentially support future grants, to be able to do upgrades in schools, to be able to provide support for teachers, and really meet the needs of our local manufacturers and ultimately really support students. So with that, yeah, I think I'll leave it at that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Shireen. Next, we are going to have Chris Holden introduce WBTO.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you, Shireen, for the opportunity. This is, we're very excited and honored to be able to do this work. Again, my name's Chris Holden. I've worked in manufacturing pretty much my entire career. I began entry-level positions, came up through apprenticeship in pattern making, managed my father-in-law's pattern shop for a number of years, and then purchased a small manufacturing company where we manufactured wildland firefighting equipment. I did that for about 10 years. And during that time, I got more involved in supporting CT programs in local high schools, serving on advisory committees, working with our region's workforce and investment boards to address skills gaps in manufacturing, and then also working with other employers to develop a multi-employer machinist apprenticeship program. And I found myself becoming more passionate about that work than as opposed to manufacturing firefighting equipment. So I took a position at Portland Community College for a short while to help lead efforts to develop the PCC OMIC Training Center out in Scappoose, and did that for about a year. And since 2019, I've been working with my friends who you see here in the images below, and a number of other friends and partners who you don't see, um, to focus on efforts to strengthen education and training in manufacturing. And our focus has really been sort of targeting the high school manufacturing programs because, in my opinion, I think that's really uh, where there is the greatest opportunity to actually strengthen the pipeline. This work began in Southwest Washington, where we were given the opportunity to come in and help train instructors, repair equipment, and then later invited to lead efforts to facilitate a regional advisory committee. We learned a lot that year, and a couple of things we heard from the educators and the employers that when we really went out to try and understand what the employer needs were and help inform what the programs look like, they asked us, they said we really need to focus on specific skills. And so we took that information and had the opportunity in Columbia County to do a gap analysis and focus on developing a way to assess what skills are being taught in these manufacturing programs and what are those regions' employers looking for in entry-level skills, which helped us create a process for doing that. And then in Clackamas County, we had even a greater opportunity to really develop a framework around how we go into a region and assess what those skills look like, what employers are looking for, bring stakeholders together, and to bring resources together to address what those gaps and opportunities are that we discover. And so we were able to develop a framework we call our 3D flexible framework for continuous improvement. And we call it Discover, Design, Deliver. In Clackamas County is our most recent success, where we had the opportunity to go through all three of those phases. And we hope to share what that looks like in future announcements. But Lane County is really our greatest opportunity to apply everything that we've learned over these past 5 years, apply this, fully fund this sort of three-phase approach, and bring support to those instructors who are really on the front lines of training the next generation. So with that, I'll give it back to you, Sarah, and hopefully we can meet the rest of our team here. So.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Next, we're going to do some quick introductions of the rest of the WBTO team. Ashley, would you like to start?
Well, thank you. I am Ashley Scher. I serve as WBTO's fractional COO, where I focus on strategic business development and operations.
Thank you. Brad?
Okay, my name is Brad Scott, and I'm one of the two boots on the ground that has been interviewing both the school instructors and employers as well. And my background is 45 years of experience in the investment casting industry. I started out as a laborer, then as a supervisor, then as mechanical engineer. Then I started managing engineering programs in both the aerospace, defense, pump compressor, and medical prosthetics industries. So all those things has really jazzed me about what's possible for kids. I also managed the investment casting school for customers through our company, and we had customers from around the world coming in there with different insights on how they manage their education with dual track programs and things like this that has just kept me in the loop. I've since retired. I met Chris at a local school board function where we were trying to see if we could get them to focus their efforts back into the manufacturing arena. and that's kind of where I got tagged into this as well. I enjoy working with all the folks out here. I really feel that the CTE instructors, I know you have a phenomenal task, but you are some of the most passionate people I've ever worked with. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Wayne?
Hi, my name is Wayne Icola. I've been with WBTO for a couple years now. I'm the second boot on the ground. So Brad and I have been talking to schools and employers to try and determine how we can match up what people's skill level needs to be, how we can accomplish that. My background is I've spent my whole career in manufacturing. I started working for my dad in his machine shop when I was 15. So worked there for a long time. And then I started working at Cascade Corporation, spent 37 years with that company, did a variety of roles, started out on the floor and then went back to school, got my bachelor's degree and got into management. I've worked as a staff manager, a buyer planner, industrial engineer. I've done quality, I've done safety. So good background in manufacturing. And I got into this. I retired in 2022. And I called Chris and I said, hey, do you know anybody that's looking for some contract work, some help? And he said, oh my gosh, we need to talk. And from the time that we talked, I've been involved in this process and I really enjoy what we're doing. And I hope you guys will enjoy this presentation.
Thanks, Wayne. And Rodney?
Hey, I'm Rodney Allen. I'm the CNC instructor trainer.
Thank
I don't
you.
talk as much as the other guy. So.
Fine with that. And finally, that leaves me. I am Sarah Gibson. I am one of the newest members of WBTO. I have a background in education and instructional design, and I've recently taken over the project management role for this endeavor and future ones as well. Moving forward, the purpose of this project. Lane County CTE brought WBTO in to conduct a needs assessment in order to identify any gaps in the skills between your regional machining and welding and fabrication programs and the needs of entry-level industry employers. There's three major phases of this project. The first was information gathering, which was conducted graciously by Brad and Wayne. They interviewed each of the instructors in Lane County and made connections with employers to collect that data for us to analyze. During our data analysis, we take all that data that we collected, find, and we just try to learn all that we can about what is going on in these CTE programs. Finally, we draft the gap analysis report, which should have been sent out to everybody by now. And we explain the data and our findings and call out opportunities for improvement to better align our CTE programs to industry need. Our focus is on machining and welding and fabrication that best utilizes the background of both WBTO and our subject matter expert partners. So that will really allows us to best serve Lane County in those two areas. In addition, there's so much data that we could gather on this project that we have to scope it somehow. So we focus on the needs of employers in skills and knowledge, the skills and knowledge that are taught in our programs, the skills and knowledge capabilities of instructors, and collecting data on the equipment that is available to these programs. So we've reached a point in the presentation that'd be a great time for any questions from anybody.
Gary, there's no questions in the chat?
There's no questions in the chat. Okay.
Okay. There's no questions in the chat? 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 Okay. The
All right, we're going to move on and we're going to discuss the assessment approach and our methodologies. WBTO learned pretty early on that we needed to establish some common language. There is a lot of nuance in how to define skills. So developing a set of skill sets and defining skill levels was really important early on. So WBTO developed two sets of skills, knowledge, and ability frameworks for both machining and welding and fabrication. And Chris is going to explain the development of those a little bit.
Yes. So this was a very painful process, as Brad and Wayne and Ashley may recall. There was a lot of thought and a lot of work and effort that went into developing this. Keeping in mind, I think it was really initially driven by a need to focus, because when we're, our interest is addressing, advanced manufacturing, which is there's a broad set of skills that employers are looking for in under that umbrella, and we really had to focus. So one of the things we looked at to help us focus was the programs of study that ODE has defined, and during this time they had recently updated their standards in machining and welding and fabrication. So we started there, but we also looked beyond that in as we developed these, we also wanted to align with available instructional content. So when we use this to inform our assessment and we see where gaps and opportunities are in these specific areas, we can link it to available instructional content, which informs the customized training that we can develop. I'll say immediately informs what that training should and could look like, which you'll see as we get into our presentation here. Other considerations were how do these align with opportunities to prepare and train students for opportunities to earn industry recognized credentials. And in both cases, we can do a crosswalk in all of these. So there's quite a bit more that went into this. There's efforts and behind the scenes in WBTO to explore how we develop future SKAs. One in particular is general manufacturing skills, where it's a shorter list of skills, but they're also there are similar skills in each. So which aligns with the focus on Lane's focus on developing the pre-apprenticeship in manufacturing program. So anyways, the main point is that there was a lot of thought put into developing what this looks like. So I'll stop there.
Thank you. Next up, we also wanted to create that common language around how to assess this skill level. So we have 3 skill levels: awareness, competent, and proficient. This language helped guide instructors and employers when asked asked to evaluate the skill level that was either current or needed. When we were conducting interviews, we were lucky enough to connect with 10 schools in Lane County and interview each one of those instructors. Brad and Wayne also put a lot of effort into connecting with 29 employers to collect data from them. The interview process for instructors asks 3 major things. First is to identify the instructor's skill level in each of these areas. Next, it asks them to evaluate the skill level of the average student that took full advantage of the program. What would their skill level be when they completed that program? And then we also collected equipment data from them as well. We are going to next move into assessment outcomes. And this is really where a lot of the meat of our project goes. So any questions before we get started on that?
I was just going to ask real quickly, Sarah, I think I know the answer to this, but when you asked about equipment, that included like things that needed restoration or were, maybe uh, teachers that needed professional development to even learn how to use the equipment,
Yes.
but the whole variety, right? The whole
Correct.
spanning
Yeah.
all of those. Great.
Yeah. So it was, we'll get into that a little bit more, but yeah, there was pretty expansive, as much depth in that equipment assessment that we could do in that initial interview process. Collected the equipment they had available as well as its condition. And we also took that opportunity to find out what additional equipment those instructors would like to see in their programs.
I had a question.
Yes.
Hi. Hey, you chose what, 39, I think it is that correct? 39 industry representatives?
29.
29, sorry about that. Why did you choose the ones you chose, and how can we be assured that those are representative? Because I think you had a list, roughly 600. We'd talked about that before.
Yeah. If I can speak to that. So yeah, 600 is a lot. I think what we found, our experience in, there's a couple of things. In Clackamas County, we identified through different means, like 125. We were able to reach out to 60% of those, and there was a small handful who were willing. And so we call this list the willing. The willing employer partners who are willing to engage and take the time to fill out answer our questions, which took some time. Also, we had to focus on we focused on machining and welding and fabrication. So that was another sort of piece of criteria that narrowed the focus. And yeah, so that's the short story.
And also, Chris, we also had to look at, small, medium, and large businesses. We wanted a cross section of different businesses because as an organization grows, a lot of times the skill level required might change versus a very small one-man shop or two-man shop. So we tried to get a variety of sizes of businesses as well.
Yeah, thank you, Wayne, for reminding me of that, because we do have some data on that I don't think we did include in this. But we had a good cross section of large, small, and medium. That's not to say we understand that advanced manufacturing. Again, there's a very broad number of skills that are required, and we have to start somewhere. I have been collecting a great deal of data on job postings over this past, I say, 6 months, that my hope was to try and include some of that information in this presentation, but it's going to be in our next AMRAC meeting that I'll bring that information to. So, and between now and then, Chris, I'd love to connect with you and have more of those conversations about what that could look like. So
Yeah, that would be great. And in particular, I'd love to see the size of the companies that you looked at, and also then what you found on demand. That'd be great. Demand for these positions.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions before we move on?
I don't see any questions in the chat.
Okay. So our assessment outcomes. We divided our data into 3 major perspectives, starting with the regional perspective. This is where we really focus on the key improvements that will have an impact on the region in whole. So our first section is looking at our machining program alignment. So to kind of walk you through this table a little bit, on the left-hand side, we have the machining skill set that we talked about earlier. The next 2 columns take into are taken from the employer data that we collected. So identifying the percentage of employers that require that skill in an entry-level position and the skill level that is required. So, for example, safety, all employers that we interviewed require that skill with an average skill level requirement of 1.9. To the right of that, you will see each high school that we interviewed and their alignment to that skill level requirement. A score of a 0 or higher means that they are aligned or exceeding industry expectation. And anything that is below a 0 means that there's opportunity for improvement there. This is also indicated by either green or red. And then all the way on the right, you will see the regional program alignment. This is the percentage of schools that align with industry expectations. So again, with safety, we'll see that 80% of the schools align with the safety expectations of industry. Overall, the regional alignment for machining is at 44%. Next, we're going to look at instructor capability. This is a very similar table. However, we are focused on the skill level the instructors have reported that they contain. So this is an area for us to see where is and isn't professional development needed. Next up, this is the equipment inventory that we were able to collect. So it indicates what equipment is currently available to the programs, as well as any repair needs to keep that equipment functioning and working properly. So we take all of that data from the 3 tables and developed the machining regional needs table. So this takes into account employer input on skill levels, the skill level of students, skill level of instructors, and equipment. It's broken up into 5 categories. 0 or gray indicates that this section of the program meets employer expectations. We're doing great here. 1 or green is what we have called easily achievable opportunities. And what that means is no outside assistance is needed. So the instructor has the skill level for industry expectation. They have the equipment for it. We just need to get that translated to student skill level now. Yellow or 2 indicates this is an area for professional development. 3 or orange indicates we need equipment for that skill. And a 4 or red means that we need both equipment and professional development to address that gap in skill. On the far right, you'll see regional impact, which is similar to regional alignment, but on the other side. What we mean here is if we took the time and addressed we're going to stick with safety because it's at the top, this safety needs in Elmira High School and Willamette High School. And we got the student skill level up to industry expectation. We project that would have a 20% impact on the region. So that's where these numbers lay out. We have the same tables for welding and fabrication. Same layout, just different skill set. So here we'll see that for welding and fabrication, we have an overall regional alignment of 53%. This is where it laid out for instructor capability. Another great way that this table could be used is for other instructors at high schools to kind of look at it and see if there's opportunity for high school to high school support. So perhaps you as an instructor want to improve your skill in something specific, you could go here and see what high school instructor is excelling in that area and maybe call on their support.
Sarah, I did want to
Yes.
mention too, just for both of these, both welding and fabrication and machining, we do have some overlap. Like safety is
Yes.
part of both of them. So you'll see some of the same categories in each skill is, you know, welding and machining. Like you're going to have safety, measurement, hand tools, those types of things are common. So just so people realize that.
Yes. Thank you, Wayne, for pointing that out. This is the equipment inventory for welding and fabrication. Again, calling out those initial areas of repair needs. And finally, the regional needs for welding and fabrication. Again, laid out the same as it was for machining, and seeing where our regional impact would have the greatest tools. This is a great area for, let's say, your CTE, ESD people to look at if planning a regional-wide professional development day. What skills could you focus on that will have the highest impact versus ones that we don't maybe need to focus on as much, such as if it's got a 0% regional impact, maybe we skip that skills day and focus on something that has a higher need. So that was quite a bit of data that we just looked at. Any questions before we get into the school district perspective?
I have a question. When it says math, what did you actually ask them if they knew, or because I see math is 90% impact. What questions were asked for that?
Primarily, this is Brad. Primarily, we're looking at shop math. Is what we're looking at for these guys. And that can, in some of those discussions, go up through trigonometry for angles and those kind of things that the kids need to learn. But we tried to, I think, mostly stay within the shop math realm. Wayne, do you have another?
I was going to say, you hit it right on the head. It's what kind of math skills are required for that particular company or that particular position. You know, I mean, obviously your basic addition, subtraction, that type of stuff. But like Brad said, up to the level of maybe, you know, trigonometry and, you know, some geometry, maybe, I don't know. But for the most part, it's basic shop math, you know. Does that answer your question, Lee?
Yeah, I'm just thinking if I need to design some kind of a professional development, what would I want to offer? So that answered my question. Thank you.
Well, what we can do as well is we can forward to you a copy of the actual layout for the skills assessment. And on there for math, it says knowledge of mathematical concepts like fractions, decimals, geometry, trigonometry for layout and measurement. So that's just an example. Each one of these characteristics has a description of a skill that we think is important. So I'll push that out to you, Lee.
Thank you.
That is also included in the full report, Lee. It's one of the appendices for skill sets. It defines what each of these skills are.
Woo, perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
I see that Chris Heyman has his hand raised. Chris? We're not hearing you. It doesn't show that you're muted. And if you're having audio challenges, we're not hearing you. If you're having audio challenges, maybe you could put your question in the chat.
About now.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Good to see you, Chris.
Thanks. You too. Yeah, I just got to figure out which microphone this thing wants to use. So a couple of things that you show in here, like one specifically for me, because I'm a drafting teacher, you guys show CAD in here as one of your categories. I know that some of the smaller high schools like Cresswell, Oak Ridge, and Siuslaw have had mixed programs where their metal shop also is their CAD shop. But larger high schools like Springfield and Thurston, we have completely separate drafting classes versus metals shop. So did you talk with Greg Proden over at Thurston? Because I don't remember you guys talking with me about the proficiency in CAD at this school.
This is Brad. I did the interview and it's primarily talking with Polly, and I think is Polly. I think she's online here as well.
Yes.
And I might have brushed by you as we walked through the woodworking arena, Chris. And but no, my attention was mostly on the manufacturing through Polly on the machining and welding.
Yeah,
My-
so Polly's at Thurston and she does metals, but Greg Proden at Thurston does the CAD classes.
Okay.
And over here at at Springfield, Tom Lamons does metal shop and
Yep.
I teach drafting.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I would say that this is great great feedback, and at the same time, we'll get into our next steps about, I think that we can address this in our next steps when Rodney and I come down to try to connect with each individual instructor to develop what a training program looks like. We can address that as well. So we'll be down in the area here in the next month or two. So I'd love to address that. So thanks, Chris, for bringing that up.
No problem. Did you talk with Tom Lamons here at Springfield?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. So next up, we have our school district perspective. And this examines the data alignment for each individual school rather than focusing on that whole regional perspective. So I'm going to call out Cresswell because they're alphabetically first. And you will see these tables for each individual school. So we have both machining and welding and fabrication included here. A lot of these numbers are very similar to the tables that we've been seeing previously. So we've got the skill sets on the left, the positions that require that skill, and the skill levels required. Those numbers aren't changing between these tables. They stay the same. Called out here specifically are the opportunities for Cresswell in the same 5 category that we saw earlier. So we can see specifically that for machining, there's a level 1 opportunity in heat treatment. So this, I think, helps really show off that the program alignment is just slightly below employer expectation. But we have the instructor Cresswell has more than enough background and capability here. And no equipment is needed for this. So that's kind of what you can see for these tables. Down here at the bottom, we call out specifically for each one of those levels the impact that it would have. So if Cresswell were to take on the opportunity to address those level 1 areas, their overall program alignment would increase from 56% to 68%. So again, each one of the schools will have one of these, have both of these tables for themselves. In the report, we do call out the equipment repair needs per school. They did not make it into these slides. I apologize about that. But you will see that included in the report that has been sent out.
Sarah, just a moment, if I may.
Yeah.
Lee Kanofsky, I know that you went to Cresswell with me, and they were in the point of, I guess, building a new tech center arena for the guys in Cresswell, and that was part of the reason, I think, why they didn't have so much going on from the machining standpoint. So I didn't really get an opportunity to view where they were going? Have you got any update on that?
No, I don't know if Jenny's on here or not. My lights just went out. So I think they wanted to use this regional needs assessment to guide the way they're going to do their new building. So this is going to be perfect for that.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Sharp teacher, Joey Robinson's a real sharp guy over there at Creswell.
All right, next up we have our employer perspectives. So we collected the skill need data from employers. We also wanted to know what other opportunities existed for these 29 employers. So first up, we have opportunities of program support. So this is where employers got the chance to either call out where they currently are supporting programs or where they are willing to support programs. This is a really solid resource for instructors to utilize when they're looking to connect with some of these employers. Getting your students there for site tours or getting them inside of your classrooms to talk about opportunities, even opportunities for material support. We also collected information on career-connected learning opportunities for students. So this is where current employers are currently offering either internships, apprenticeships, or weekend and part-time work, and some other opportunities as well. So this is, you've got students that are looking to, flap their wings, get out of the nest and, learn a little bit more in industry. This is where you can kind of refer to, find out what opportunities might exist for your students. We also wanted to see what it would look like for students working here, what additional opportunities might exist for them. So whether organizations offer tuition reimbursement, certification training, there's lots of other opportunities for career development at companies. So these are highly valuable opportunities for students to expand their own skill sets that will impact them far beyond those initial couple years in careers. Final aspect of employer data collected was creating this distance table to kind of get a picture of the layout. So we can see here that we have employers as close as 0.8 miles from a local high school all the way to 72.8 miles. Huge difference in mileage here. Part of that is due to the breadth of Lane County. So it's a good area to keep in mind that we were only able to connect with 29 employers. There are definitely going to be more employers out there in Lane County, but for the ones that we were able to collect, this is what the map is looking like.
Hey, Sarah. So one of the things I'd like to mention is, as far as the companies that we did connect with, they had to be willing to at least meet with us and talk about this. And I will say that out of Lane County, I was impressed at the amount of employers that are really, really supportive and really want to help out. So I just wanted to mention that we did try and contact a lot of employers. Brad and I reached out to a lot more people than what we actually got in contact with. So like I said, these are the employers that, we're willing to at least talk about, what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And that's always an uphill battle. So I think that it's fantastic you guys were able to get in front of as many as you were. In the report, you will also find a page dedicated to each of our employer partners. This is Bynum Construction, for example. We've collected quick backgrounds of each company, their contact information, and then those specific areas of support and opportunities that they indicated are a part of their mission. We also included the specific distance tables that have been arranged based on distance from high school. So again, each one of the employers has their own page with all of this information included. We are at the point of getting to recommendations based on the data that we have collected. So any questions from anybody before we move into that? Okay. Recommendations. We have three major recommendations based on our findings. The first is customized instructor training. This will really help address those areas of professional development needs, and maybe even some of those level one where instructors just need some additional help figuring out how to best serve those skills to students. So this would be training designed and delivered by subject matter experts with current industry knowledge, really ensuring that instructor skills are staying within the needs of industry. Our next recommendation is a more comprehensive equipment inventory and assessment. We did collect quite a bit of information about the equipment that instructors currently have and its condition. We have seen a lot of benefit of bringing in a machine repair specialist to do a very in-depth assessment of the condition of all the equipment that will really help ensure that that equipment that's vital to program to success is operational and stays operational. Finally, the formation of the Advanced Manufacturing Regional Action Coalition, which you being here today is already helping support that recommendation. We are in the first AMRAC meeting for this project. This is where we really want to bring together local industry instructors and workforce development members to offer the foundation of collaboration so that the opportunities available to programs and the continued improvement and success of programs can live on after this grant is over. The AMRAC, as we call it, is a very foundational piece that can help your high school programs excel for years on. Any questions about our recommendations?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Chris.
So it would seem to me if there's this gap, one of the ways you could resolve that gap from the student side is that the students would go on to a community college, right? And learn those skills there. But I don't see anything like that in your recommendations. In other words, it almost looks to me like you're making the assumption, and this gets back to my demand question maybe a little bit, the assumption that the skill set that is needed can be delivered at the high school level. And that's fine if that's what your conclusion is. I think you could probably find a little of that on Lightcast, right? But is that in fact the conclusion then? Is that why community college isn't recommended or isn't mentioned on here, or am I doing something?
Yeah, so I'd like to speak to that. Again, our focus has been on identifying entry-level opportunities for these two tracks where employment experience isn't needed and where these willing partners are willing to take someone and continue to mentor and advance, which would take additional training at a community college. That does not, and so when we're looking to identify what those positions are and those openings, they're a smaller number than when you look for machinist positions. So that's not to say that employers aren't looking for folks with higher level experience. So I hope that answers your question. We really had to focus, and it's really our focus is really on trying to inform what these programs look like. So I would be very interested in continuing to have this conversation with you, Chris, to how we may expand on what this is, assessment looks like moving forward. So,
Okay, yeah, that's helpful. Thanks.
All right, any other questions before we move on? All right. Next steps. The next steps on WBTO side is we're going to send some of our subject matter experts down to Lane County to have those initial instructor meetings to start building a game plan for that customized instructor training to really nail down what instructors want to focus on that will best serve their programs and their students. In addition, we are going to have an in-person AMRAC meeting that's projected for January. The goal of that meeting is first just to get everybody in the room together. Sometimes, not everybody wants to have discussions over Zoom, which is totally understandable. Those are a lot easier to do in person. So taking that opportunity to be face-to-face, to start doing some of that networking between instructors and industry members to make connections that can go beyond what we are doing here and really live on. So those are our next steps. I want to take the opportunity to thank all of the staff at WBTO for the amount of work that they've done to put into this project and the amount of support that there has been throughout, as well as Shireen's team over at Lane County ESD CTE. Their willingness to see the opportunities that we are working on here is amazing. And yeah, so thank you, everybody. This is a great time. Chris, I don't know if you have any closing remarks you want to say before we open it up to any broader questions or comments from.
Yeah, I know we had, I'll just say we had allowed for another half hour, just if there's any more questions or anyone wants to have more conversation. I do want to, I as well want to thank Shireen and Lane ESD for the opportunity to do this work. Each new opportunity we get better at doing this and provide more value. So thank you for that. I also want to thank some of friends and partners that I've invited outside of Lane County region that we've been working with, more in the interest of keeping, I'll say, my friends informed in hopes that we may learn from each other in these different regions. So this is all in an effort. That invitation for folks outside of this region is really in hopes to inform those future conversation. So I'm gonna leave it right there. I don't know. Let's see. I'm gonna call out a friend of mine, Julia. I don't know if you have anything you wish to share. We've spent a lot of time in Clackamas County. Julia is the executive director for the South Salem Metro STEM Hub. She gave us the opportunity to work in Clackamas. Julia, are you?
Yeah, I'm in transit with my 5-year-old, so he might chime in with some amazing advice for us as well. But yeah, congratulations to everyone. It's just so exciting to see the evolution of this work, but more importantly, to really see the tremendous value of having the conversations with our employers and with our educators to find that alignment. Like it's what's been of greatest value for us in our region and with Clackamas County is truly having those actionable things to move on. We know what the needs are and we can come together and address them. We can put the funding where it's going to have the greatest value. And for all of us who navigate complex systems, opportunities to act quickly are few and far between. So I just have to offer my gratitude and also encouragement for everyone involved in this work, that this gives us a framework to do some real good for our students. So excited to see the amazing work that happened in Lane, and I'm eager to see how it evolves, continues to evolve for Clackamas and beyond that.
Excellent. Thanks, Julia. The other thing I want to speak to is that the thing that inspires us to keep doing what we do is seeing the results. It's a long road to really get through this process and then actually see what the impact looks like. Our most ideally, what we want to do is we want to see the impact it has on students, and that's going to be our ultimate reward. We have our second reward is really being able to bring support to instructors who are on the front lines of training our next generation. And I know that inspires all of us when we get the opportunity to really help these instructors who really have a lot of responsibility to try and deliver. So we are so excited to have had the opportunity to do this full phase in Clackamas and the opportunity to bring this to Lane County. So I can go on and on about this. So I'm going to shut up now, see if anybody else wants to chime in.
I have one comment that I think, this will address kind of Chris Wren's concerns, is that what we did see from employers is there's so much opportunity for kids coming out of a high school program. Now, there's a lot of opportunity for kids to go on and get a 2-year machining degree or get some training. That's going to continue to be relevant, but there's so many opportunities. I think if we can get this in front of these kids and do these tours, do the more involvement with the employers to the school districts, when we looked at those slides, there's so many companies that are willing to bring students in, but I just think there's so much opportunity out there, both for entry level positions and then for down the road when somebody decides they want a career in manufacturing, then they're going to go on to college, and get some skills at a community college. So I just wanted to mention I think that's why it's so important, is I think we can just keep expanding, the amount of reach and influence we have. So that's my 2 cents.
Great. Thanks, Wayne. I'm going to address a question here from Darren Fort from Lynn Benton, who is the Lynn Benton region, who's the Career Connected Learning Systems Navigator. The question is, have you had any meaningful interactions in this realm in the Lynn Benton region to the north? And we haven't, to be brief. So we are interested in serving the Pacific Northwest. So we have worked with several regions. We currently have 3 projects that may either continue our work in the regions that we are working in and/or launch efforts in a couple of other regions. So, and that was through the Future Ready grant applications. We're waiting to hear back on that, but I am very interested in exploring expanding and serving others. So, because we're just going to keep learning and getting better at what we do. So I would love to connect, Darren.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's see. There's a member called Oregon says, what are the potential impacts, needs, uses of AI in the teaching and learning arena? Great question, which I'm not prepared to answer. I've been following this stuff every night. I'm obsessed with it. We're using it, AI tools on the back end to assess a lot of the job posting data, to extract skills, and I hope to bring some of that information to our next AMRAC meeting. But I asked this question to Sarah last night. What does this look like in education? It's happening so fast and it's changing so rapidly. So I don't really have an answer. It's moving so fast. I don't know if anybody else wants to speak to that.
I'll answer. I'll come out of hiding here. I'm Oregon, I guess. My name is Michael McDonald, and I'm brand new to Willamette High School as the CTE program coordinator. I'm coming from a long background in education in the Valley and also Central Oregon, but I'm brand new to the school and new to this group, obviously. And it's also, Chris, a passion of mine and something that I think needs to be addressed at every level. So if anybody wants to have a ad hoc conversation about that, I'm kind of obsessed a little bit with it as well, and play around with it a lot, and think it has amazing uses and also huge downside risks. But think it's something we need to talk about.
I would just say that I think it's something we need to prepare youth for. And I don't know what that looks like, but just being aware of
Yeah,
the ups.
it has such huge potential for learning and also for instructor support. And I think it's just going to, I mean, I think every week we're seeing something different and more dynamic. So I think that we have there's a lot to talk about here.
I would be happy to have that ad hoc conversation with you. So if you,
Yeah,
please reach out. Yeah. Great. Well,
I was just going to chime in, Chris, and just, I mean, my assumption is that all the employers that you spoke with are willing to be kind of invited to the table, so to speak, as this work moves forward. And I assume everyone in this group will be, reaching back out in terms of that. You'd mentioned that follow-up, the January gathering and any additional information. Is that right?
short answer, yes. I think if you, Sarah, can you pull up that chart that shows the employer um, support? I think
Yeah.
I think there was a column in there, advisory, like would they be willing to support in an advisory capacity? That might.
I don't know if we included that one
Oh,
in
okay.
this.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a wild assumption to make that they're at least willing to take that into consideration based on the fact that we had really positive interactions with the employers that participated in this so far.
Yeah, I'll add that from feedback that I've gotten from Wayne, my own experience is that there's a lot of employers that are very supportive of these efforts and willing to, like this list of willing is probably the largest list we've seen so far in the work that we've been doing. So I'm very excited. Also, the opportunity to come together in what we'll hope to be the new technology center at Lane. I'm not using the right title there. I don't know, Chris, if you could correct me on that.
High tech.
High tech. Yes. Thank you. I saw another hand raise somewhere.
That would be me.
Go ahead and speak up. Yeah.
This is Ryan McGinnis with Willamette Valley Company, Pretech in Eugene. First of all, I just want to thank you for pulling all this together. I really do find it valuable, and I'm going to really dig into the information you provided now, understanding and sharing with my internal management and executive staff here, because again, this is something really true to my heart as well, is finding people and young kids and things in our area that in programs we can promote, because again, it is a big issue in our area trying to get these types of skilled positions. But I guess one of the questions I had, or just curiosity things, is has it been considered about I saw on this, which was surprising, a lot of equipment not available, right? Maybe it's not surprising, like especially on the CNC machining side of things, right? I know Lane County has a good program. We work with it. We have some of our engineers working with them as advisors, but has it ever been considered finding out availability or a way to communicate availability of equipment at these types of manufacturers where you could bring students in to be able to work on a machine or have firsthand experience with certain types of equipment, like a manual Bridgeport or a CNC, and plan a day versus just because I know for us, we have times where we have equipment available, or we could block off an afternoon to bring a set of students in with the instructor and, potentially, hey, let's show you how to do a setup. Let's show you, here's a test part we can do, or things like that. I don't know. How do you bridge that gap? Because equipment, whenever you see that, is a lot of money, right? And so getting that investment to be able to have that, bring into a school, do the maintenance, if there's other options in that way or considered, or has been considered.
Yeah, I want to answer that. So, or at least speak to that. I think that would be fantastic. There could be, I could see opportunities for instructor externships, getting instructors exposed to industry environment and the equipment. Um, having students exposed to that would be fantastic. Um, that has come up. We've had some other employers in the Northwest Oregon offer that opportunity as well. Um, so yeah, that would be amazing. And perhaps a further exploration of that at a minimum at our next AMRAC meeting would be great. So yeah, Shireen.
I just want to quickly say, I mean, this demonstrates why this work is so key and highlights the need and brings employers out to the forefront, connected with our schools, and getting students opportunities. So to me, this is just thank you, Ryan, and just, yeah, I think we'll hopefully see more of this.
Let's see. There's some other questions here. Let's see, from Kristen Gunson. Is there a role for professional groups as Society for Manufacturing Engineers? I might direct that question towards Chris Heyman if you're still on. Are you still with us, Chris? Chris didn't you used to be the president of the Oregon chapter?
Yeah, and Kristen is the current president.
Oh, okay. Well,
double teaming you, Chris.
I did meet with I forget the gentleman's name. I think he was more of a national presence. I'm sure if
Was it Glenn Burling?
Nope.
Kyle?
Nope. Retired. Very retired. Anyways, I would be very interested in having that conversation about what that could look like. I think Chris, you and I have talked in the past about what that might look like, and so I'd like to continue that conversation, Kristen, with you if there's an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, maybe we could have you at one of our next officers meetings or something, Chris, so we could discuss that.
I would like that. Yep.
Okay.
And then Julia, our STEM Hubs region includes Marion, Polk, Yamhill, and Washington and Clackamas counties, but we also work closely with our fellow hubs representing the rest of Oregon. Always welcome to discuss what this work could look like in your respective areas and how to leverage resources. If there are willing partners, we are eager to help facilitate this work where we can. Thanks. And then Aaron says, thanks everyone for here in the group. I've been in and out and have had to leave, but I'll review recording. Okay, great. All right, I don't see any more questions. Anybody has anything else to add or ready to call it a day? I'll just say that I'm very excited. It's going to be Rodney and I that are going to be reaching out, bringing these individual assessments to trying to connect with each instructor. Sarah's going to help coordinate all that. So you'll be hearing from Sarah and Rodney and myself. We are eager to get in there and support and help. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, thank you everybody for making the time to come and and participate in this. The recording for the meeting, as well as a report, will be uploaded to the WBTO website shortly. So keep an eye on that, as well as additional information about the in-person AMRAC meeting in January. So thank you everybody for your time, and hopefully see you in January.
Excellent.